What if I tell you that there are a number of first-generation Nigerian media personalities doing great work in the diaspora media space? They make us very proud as Nigerians. Nigerian media personality in the diaspora. Number 1. Alexis Okeowo is an award-winning media personality. Her work has been recognized by the Pen Open Book Award, which is usually awarded to books of exceptional length. Alexis Okeowo is a writer with the New Yorker and has spoken extensively about crises in Africa.
Alexis, in your article, you write, over the past decade, the Mediterranean Sea and the shores of Italy, Malta, Cyprus, and Greece have become a vast graveyard, with at least 25,000 have disappeared in the crossing and are presumed dead.
The estimate of the amount of people, the number of people who have disappeared on their way to Europe is actually a very conservative estimate. It's likely much more. But I mean, over the last decade, at least 25,000 people have disappeared on their way to Europe, mostly while crossing the Mediterranean. Now, a lot of those bodies are at the bottom of the sea. They drowned. But some do turn up on the shores of Southern Europe, of Northern Africa, and usually they're just buried in unmarked graves. They're not named, they're not identified, and their families don't really know what happened to them. They can guess, but they don't know.
What I especially like about Alexis Okeowo is that she cares about the lives of the common man who is just generally trying to seek greener pastures outside of Africa. Nigerian media personality in the diaspora. Number 2. Bukola Oriola is exceptional. She has vast knowledge regarding the problem of human trafficking. Unfortunately, she's been a victim herself.
Mike and Alex, Bukola Oriola came to Minnesota from Nigeria in 2005 to live with her husband and pursue a career in journalism. Instead, she says she lived in isolation for the next 2 years, enduring emotional abuse and forced labor. Now she's working to help others and avoid the same fate.
When I eventually got help, because I didn't know I could get help, I thought that death was the only way out. And I did attempted suicide. So when I got help, I decided to put my face to my story. And one of the first things I did was to come out to the public like this to speak about my story.
Bukola Oriola won awards in Nigeria and the United States of America, serving as a voice for human trafficking. Remarkably, she's worked with 2 U.S. administrations, the Barack Obama administration and Donald Trump.
In December, President Obama appointed her to the U.S. Advisory Council on Human Trafficking.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with sincere gratitude and honor that I welcome you to the first annual report of the U.S. Advisory Council on Human Trafficking. The Advisory Council...
And so I give kudos to her courage to come out and be an advocate for human trafficking. Nigerian media personality in the diaspora. Number 3. Farouk Berogi is an award-winning professor of journalism and a newspaper columnist. He has worked in both Nigeria and the United States of America. Farouk Berogi is a regular contributor in the Nigerian media space, talking about politics especially.
Well, I hate to submit to what I call the disempowering tyranny of hopelessness. So I'm now going to succumb to it. All I have done is to describe the situation. But every society that transcends its contemporary shortcomings always has to embrace the principle of creative destruction. I've mentioned that multiple times. Creative destruction is to get away with the current system and refashion a different form. That is not going to come in a generation. That has to start with a set of people who are inspired by the need for change to do something. And maybe, I don't know whether the politics we currently practice has the capacity to lead to that, but I do know in the heart of my hearts that to make changes, we have to get rid of the current system because it's incapable of development. What we are going to be witnessing is changing one set of elites with another without any fundamental change to the structure that produces and reproduces poverty, inequality, and vulnerability for our people.
Nigerian Media Personality in the Diaspora, number 4. Chika Odua won the Trust Women Journalist Award for her work with the Chibok Girls incident. Chika was the first international journalist to visit Chibok. How very brave, and consequently she helped throw more international light on the incident.
What was very beautiful about the Chibok people is their resilience. They've come together as a community and they're not giving up the fight. So the first time I went, it was shortly after the girls were kidnapped. And what I saw was a community in mourning. It was really poignant to see their expression on their faces. It was pure sadness, and confusion. How could this have happened? How could almost 300 girls just go like that in the middle of the night?
Her work has been showcased in top media houses like the CNN, The Guardian, and Al Jazeera. Nigerian Media Personality in the Diaspora, number 5. Lola Ogunaike was recognized as one of 150 most influential black person in the United States of America by the prestigious Ebony magazine. Lola Ogunaike worked with the New York Times and CNN. Her area of expertise is in the entertainment field.
The most powerful person on the plantation, but also the most powerless person, because she picks the most cotton, as we saw from that scene, but she's also the object of her master's obsession, which renders her at his mercy, and he's merciless. What drew you to this role? How did you land this part? Walk us through that process.
Well, really, I mean, I didn't choose the role. I think the role chose me.
When you look back over the course of your career, what is the highlight for you?
And all of a sudden, it went from my daughter's a journalist to, my daughter, she works at the New York Times. Yes, she works there, she wrote this.
Nigerian Media Personality in the Diaspora, number 6. David Olusoga was born in Lagos, Nigeria, a Nigerian-British multi-award winner. He is a professor and an accomplished writer. David Olusoga's book, Black and British, earned him the Pen Hessel Titman Prize. David Olusoga won a BAFTA with his BBC historical documentary, Britain's Forgotten Slave Owners. The documentary stirred a lot of conversation about Britain's role in the past.
Please welcome to the stage the brilliant, my friend, David Olusoga.
Thank you with all my heart to BAFTA for this astonishing award. So to have had the opportunity over 3 decades to make programs as both a producer and a presenter that have impacted on the lives of others has been the greatest privilege and the greatest responsibility in my life. I am truly thankful, and tonight I feel truly blessed. If I have a hope, it's that people entering the industry today, people from backgrounds like mine, minority communities, people from council estates, that they might perhaps find their journey through the industry a little easier. that they might not have to fight quite so much for the validity of their voice and their experience. We've forgotten a lot of what the empire was for us, but the most forgotten of all is the story, I think, of slavery. A lot of what we've forgotten is just amnesia. Slavery's been deliberately forgotten. There's lots of myths about slavery. Britain didn't abolish slavery first, that was the Danes. We didn't do it entirely out of the goodness of our heart. The abolitionists were remarkable people and I admire them immensely, but we also abolished the slave trade because there'd been a revolution in Haiti, and we abolished slavery because there'd been a violent, enormous uprising in Jamaica. Slavery came to an end because we negotiated a way to bring it to an end with the slave owners. And what they got was compensation. Not a small amount of compensation, not a token sum, but the biggest bailout in British history until 2009, 2010, when we bailed out the banks. The British government raised £20 million through taxation and borrowing, which is the equivalent today of 16 to 17 billion pounds. And that was distributed to the 46,000 British slave owners. What made Britain a global nation, what made this city a node in a global world was tobacco and was slavery and was sugar. And we've forgotten that for too much. And Britain doesn't make sense unless you remember how global, how international, and how central slavery was to our story. The great British intellectual, Jamaican intellectual, Stuart Hall once said, when asked why there were so many immigrants in Britain, he said that we are here because you were there.
In 2019, David Olusoga received an OBE. That's quite remarkable. When you see Nigerians all over the world winning awards and doing groundbreaking media work, it gives you, as a Nigerian, a boost in confidence that nothing is impossible. Nigerian Media Personality in the Diaspora, number 7. Michael Oku is a multiple award winner with 3 Emmys, fantastic, 5 LA Press Awards, Cable Ace Award, and so on and so forth. Michael Oku was born in Imo State, Nigeria, and then moved to the United States of America with his parents. He attended the iconic Harvard University to study government.
First came the news that a 911 call was made from Jackson's home. Then the news that paramedics had rushed to the aid of a 50-year-old man in distress. Then the bombshell that that man was Michael Jackson and that the legendary pop star was dead.
Michael Oku is no doubt an accomplished media personality of whom Nigeria is very proud. One thing about all of the media personalities we've talked about today is that every one of them are well educated in top universities in the diaspora. And you have to give kudos to the Nigerian mentality of wanting to be the best. It's something to be really proud of. And we salute these Nigerians. Please subscribe to the channel and give me a like.